In this video, we are going to be learning how to make a line plot, or reviewing how to make a line plot if you learned it in elementary school. Make sure to title your homework. It should be called line plots. And don't forget to include the accurate date. There are two main types of data, and either one can be represented by a line plot. Let's go ahead and write down what those two types are. Categorical data counts based on a category. So for example, what color are the shirts in my closet? I might respond, well, I have 3 white shirts, I have 5 black shirts, and I have 6 red shirts. Numerical data counts based on a quantity. So for example, how often have I worn each shirt? And then I could go through on each one and say, I've worn this one 10 times, I've worn this one 30 times, I've worn this one 1 time. So you can see in the first example, the answer is going to be words like red, white, black. The answer in the second one is going to be numbers. We will be primarily working with numerical data in this class. When making a line plot, the first thing you need to do is you need to set up the scale. There are a few things you need to keep in mind when you do that. The first is that you need to number and space consistently. You can count by 1s or by 2s or 5s or 10s. You can count by anything that you want as long as you do it consistently. So let's say this is going to be our scale here. Go ahead and draw this with me. Let's say that I want to scale by 5s. So I count by 5s going up. You can see that I put down one number every 2 spaces. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did on this one. Choice is yours. The next rule is that you should start below the minimum and end above the maximum of the data. That does not mean you have to start at 0. So you can start higher than 0 if all of your numbers are bigger than that. We'll look at an example of that in a minute. All right, let's do our first example. So always with an example, if you think you already know how to do the problem, you should pause and do it yourself and then watch what I did. And if it's the same, great. And if it's not, change it to match. So in this example, we have asked a group of children how many brothers and sisters they have, and then each one has reported out. I have 1 sibling, I have 3 siblings, I have 4 siblings, etc. So the first thing I do is I draw my line and I'm going to label the bottom. Now, when I look at my data over here, I can see that I'm going to need the numbers 1 through 4, and that's it. And so I space them evenly. This time I put them 3 boxes apart each. And next I need to label what the variable is down here. And so that'll be number of siblings. Okay, and then I'm going to translate this data here into my X's, or some people do dots. So I can see that 2 children had 0 siblings. So I'm going to put 2 X's above the 0. 1, 2. Then I can see that 3 children had 1 sibling, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I can see that 5 people had 2. And I can see that 2 people had 3. Finally, I can see that 1 person had 4. Now, a couple things I want you to notice is that I was trying to be really careful about making each of my X's fill up 1 box there. You can kind of see how each X fills up a box. That's so that my X's are a consistent height and that it's easy to read my graph. Last thing I need to do is give my graph a title. And so I will call it by the question that you might have asked. How many siblings do the children have? Okay, now let's do a slightly more complicated example. So this is example 2. And I want you to pause and see if you can make this line plot on your own. Remember, you don't have to start at 0. So pause now and then press play when you think you've got it. Okay, so I set my graph up counting by ones, starting at 29 and going up to 42, because 29 was the minimum or the smallest number of the data set, and 42 was the maximum or the largest number of the data set. And then I went number by number, so 29, and put 1x there. There's 2 30s, 2 x's there. And by crossing everything out, I can quickly look at the end and make sure I haven't missed any numbers, which I haven't. I'm going to give my graph a label down at the bottom. That would be minutes. That's what I'm counting there. And then a title up at the top, which is time to complete homework. Okay, and now we're at the practice problem. I want you to make a line plot of the data below, which is we can pretend that I measured the height of a group of my students and then I recorded the data in the table. Do the best you can. Even if you're not sure what to do, give it a try. It's okay if it's wrong because I will correct it in class. I'm going to come around and check each of your graphs when you show this to me in class tomorrow, and I'll give it a check mark if it's correct. Good luck.